Hi everyone, this is Elena Dudum here with the DailyClout, coming to you from New York City, so I'm sorry for the traffic noise behind you. And today I'm going to talk about the Paycheck Fairness Act. It was passed in the House a few weeks ago, the first week of April, and now it's headed to the Senate. So some quick history on the Paycheck Fairness Act. It was originally brought to Congress in 1997. So it's been a really, really long journey for this act to gain any sort of momentum and steam. It was originally brought to the floor by Congresswoman Rosa DeLauro. And this bill has been reintroduced more than 10 times and has failed to pass the Senate 4 times in the last 2 decades. What I want to talk about today is, first of all, what's been revised in the bill that has allowed it to close some of the holes that previously the bill was claimed to have, as well as why the social climate today, in light of the Me Too movement, has also set the stage for this bill to have a real fighting chance in the Senate. So first and foremost, what's exciting about this new version of the act? For those who approve of this act, they think it's incredible because of how it fixes the holes from the Equal Pay Act of 1963. So how does it do that? First and foremost, it prohibits employers from asking job applicants about their salary history. This is really, really huge because it guarantees that previous payment disparities is no longer going to follow applicant from job to job. It also requires employers to share how much they are paying each of their employees with the Department of Labor. Now, this is all about transparency because what the bill has done is that it ensures that with equal work comes equal pay because they have to report on these numbers. It also incentivizes companies to uphold equal pay policies through annual awards. So for those who opposed the bill previously, they were really concerned about how companies were going to actually want to put these protocols and measurements in place because there was just too much. The bill was asking too much of companies. So with this revision, what the writers have done is included awards so that companies will feel more incentivized to actually fully stay close to what the government is asking of them and want to participate because they get something at the end of it. It also protects employees against retaliation for discussing pay with their colleagues. This is also really important because what we're doing, again, is all around transparency. And it ensures that employees will not be fired for sharing salary information with one another. It also educates both employees and employers around fair pay. So there are now programs that are going to help women and train them on how to advocate for higher pay, as well as in supporting the employers with technical assistance to help them gather the data that the bill is asking them to gather. It finally also defines what constitutes a work establishment. So this guarantees that wage comparison can be made between employees who hold equal jobs at any of the employer's places of business. Again, all about transparency. This bill is really exciting in how it has carefully revised itself to close some of the holes from the Equal Pay Act, as well as giving solutions to the current climate of wage gap and giving solutions such as the incentivized awards to companies. Thankfully, this bill in a lot of ways has been able to gain attention and move forward because of the historic number of women that are now in Congress. So according to the Center for American Women in Politics, as of January 2019, 127 seats are held by women in Congress. In 1997, when this bill was originally brought to the floor, there was only 54 women. So first and foremost, this bill has really been able to make moves and be revised and actually get passed in the House, again, because of how many women are there fighting for it. But what I really want to focus on is how this new version of the Paycheck Fairness Act is well positioned today because of the social climate, not just because of how many women are able to advocate for it in Congress. Unfortunately, this act has gained part of its attention and appeal thanks to the Me Too movement and the stories that it has helped make mainstream. Now, what I mean by that is that because the Me Too movement has made stories of women being violated, whether it be in the workplace or elsewhere, so prevalent, perhaps even dinner table topic, for the first time, we are now living in a social climate where it is impossible to ignore and dismiss how women have been treated, sexually or professionally, because of the steady stream of stories that women are sharing. Now, first of all, it's incredible that women feel that we are now in a position where we can actually talk about the violations that have happened to us and not feel like our life, our job, our safety is at risk by sharing these stories. Because previously, these stories were not shared. Maybe they were whispered or rumored about, but they were not brought to the main stage because of what could possibly happen to women by sharing these stories. Whether that be, again, loss of job, loss of life, loss of who knows what, anything. What I find really troubling about this is that women have had to come forward. Thankfully, they can come forward. They have had to come forward and have set a stage where these stories are so mainstream that it is impossible to ignore how they have been violated, and thus politicians are now forced to really take seriously how women have been treated. And so bills such as the Paycheck Fairness Act now actually have a fighting chance because they no longer can be ignored. What's disheartening about this bill being seen as well-timed, which in fact a lot of Democrats have said that this bill is well-timed to actually finally pass, is that it had to hinge its success at passing on this Me Too movement becoming so prevalent. So now optics are at play here, right? Because of how optics have played in the national Me Too conversation, politicians on both sides are stuck in a position where they need to support legislation like the Paycheck Fairness Act to prove what side they're really on. Because if they are not falling on the legislation like the Paycheck Fairness Act, they are no longer aligning themselves with supporting a movement like the Me Too movement, which in today's climate might, for some people, seem absurd. So their constituencies are asking them to pick a side. Putting this opinion aside for a moment, I would love to go over some of the data about the gender wage gap that still exists today, because there are a lot of people, frankly, who think that it's a myth. And that's why a bill like this has taken 20 years to really gain momentum and attention. So if we look at some data, according to the American Association of University Women's U.S. Census data, that's a mouthload, for every dollar a white woman makes, this is how much women of different racial backgrounds make in comparison. 85 cents for Asian women to the $1 that white men make. 77 cents for white women to every dollar that a white man makes. 61 cents for black women. 58 cents for Native American women. And finally, 53 cents to Hispanic women. These numbers, though substantial in proving the existence of a wage gap and many other gaps that exist within our country, for some reason have not effectively helped make clear how essential legislation like the Paycheck Fairness Act truly is. But unfortunately, that's been the case now for over 20 years. Though this is incredible legislation that we should all be excited about, what's most upsetting this time around, in an era where more populations of women are educated at higher levels, is the implication that women must be violated on the main stage in order to gain the type of attention necessary to deem these bills worthwhile. Thank you again for checking out the DailyClout. Again, my name is Elena Dudum. Pop around our website at dailyclout.io or on our YouTube channel. I'll see you next time. Thank you.